Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in for episode 6 of Are You Serious? My online debate show. I am your host, Rob Coleman, and Are You Serious? Once again, is my online debate show where I bring in a bunch of funny people and we debate whatever issue my twisted mind can come up with. For today's episode, episode 6, we are debating atheists versus believers. Atheists versus believers. And I feel like this is going to be a great show. It's going to be a fun show. We got a lot of very funny comedians that I'm going to pop in and introduce to you guys individually. But before we get started, I have to give it up for our main guest. Had this guest is kind of secret, but I want everybody to give it up for our very first guest of the evening. Everybody give it up for the Almighty himself. Well, hello, everybody. This is God here. And I wanted to come on to the show to let you guys know that I do exist. I'm sitting here in my throne of heaven, as far as you can tell, and I'm looking down, wondering which one of these guys I am going to send to the naughty place. We're going to see how this debate show goes. And before you guys even have any questions about how it goes, I already know who wins this debate. So I just want to let you guys know that I will be watching. You guys be good, and I'll probably bring you presents this Christmas. Just kidding. You better be good, though, because I control lightning and thunder and whether or not you're going to eat this evening. Give it up for me one more time. I am your All-Father Almighty, and I will be back to close the show out. Thank you guys for listening. Wow, that was pretty good. God is good all the time, except for when he's on podcasts. So let me start popping my guests in here one at a time. Give it up for the always funny and my personal friend and newly married Joey Lee. Y'all give it up for Joey Lee.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for
how you
having
doing, buddy?
me on. That was funny. Santa Claus and God, same person.
Hey, he can be all things and do all things. So how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great.
Why don't you tell us what side you're going to be debating for?
I'm going to be in on the side of God, and maybe we should pray before we start. What do you think?
Hey, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you should pray for me because of these stupid ideas that I be having. But yeah, thank you for coming on to the show. I appreciate you, buddy. And give it up for Joey. Like I said, he just became a newlywed this weekend. And congratulations to you, buddy. Hey, look at that. All right, I'm gonna pop you out, but
all right, thank you, sir. It's gonna be fun.
All right, and then next we have Dave Kovacs. Dave, why don't you let people know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what side you're going to be arguing for tonight?
Oh, good evening. I'm happy to be here. I'm David Kovach. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm baptized at St. Rose of Lima Parish. I'm currently teaching out here at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, California. I will tonight be arguing for, I guess, the existence of God. I say the universe is created, and that's all I'm going to say.
Perfect. All right, perfect. Well, we're going to pop you back in throughout the show so that we can get our points across. And it's a pleasure to meet you and having you on the show, buddy. Next, we have Jason Piper. How you doing, buddy?
A little bit terrified after that meth head God that you just threw on us. But other than that, everything's fine. I think I ran into that guy at the short market.
Hey, he's watching you, so be careful.
Sure, Jan. All right. Well, everybody, just to introduce myself, my name's Jason Piper, Columbus here or a comedian here in Columbus, rather, and I will be arguing for the atheist side tonight.
All right, perfect. And pleasure once again to have you on the show, bud. Look forward to seeing what you add to the show.
Excited to be here.
All right. And next we have my personal friend, Jerry. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jerry.
Hey, Rob. Hey, everybody. My name's Jerry. I'm a comedian and podcaster up in the Cleveland area. I've done a ton of shows with Rob. I'm real excited to be here. And I'll just say one opening point. I am an atheist, but I'm not an argumentative atheist. I have never once tried to talk anyone out of their belief. That's very personal. Everyone on this show, I love and respect. I'm here for the children, Rob. I'm here for the 8-year-olds and the 12-year-olds out there whose parents are dragging them to church. But those kids know it's bullshit. And I'm going to give them the fuel and ammunition that will allow them to rebel against their parents. That's what I'm here for today.
You're trying to get a whole bunch of asses whipped.
Yes, exactly. See how many spankings.
Hey, don't listen to Jerry. Get up and go to church. Go. All right, Jerry. Pleasure having you on the show, buddy. All right, and let's introduce our last guest. Bill, why don't you shout yourself out and let the people know where you're from and what side you're going to be arguing for this evening.
What's up, Rob? I'm from Akron. For tonight's purposes, I'm on the no God side. So, yeah, I deleted all my social media. So let's just go with that.
All right, bud. Pleasure to have you on the show, man. So as you can see, guys, we have a stacked lineup of some very funny comics with some very specific beliefs. I cannot see a thing without my glasses, and I don't know where God put them. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Thank you, God. Thank you for having my glasses. And I can see clearly now. All right. So without further ado, I created a bunch of slides here that me and the comics are going to go through and see if since scientists and pastors and religion can't figure it out, maybe a bunch of comedians can figure this out. So let's go ahead and present here real quick. So these are my slides. If it'll let me okay, I know what I'm doing wrong. Still trying to figure this out, guys. So here are my slides here. And once again, our show is going to be Atheists versus Believers. And let's go to our first slide here. So when I was in college, one of the things that really struck me in my philosophy class was St. Thomas Aquinas' 5 proofs of the existence of God. So I know a lot of philosophy people and a lot of people that believe and don't believe in God will kind of focus on these first. So I figure we'll focus on these first in our debate, just to kind of get this out of the way and see where everybody stands. So let me actually bring in Jerry, who's actually a philosophy professor. Jerry, have you heard of the 5 proofs of the existence of God before?
I have. Thanks for bringing me up. These are sort of classical philosophy points. Dave is a bit of an expert on St. Thomas Aquinas, so I'd love to hear his take. He knows more about the old St. Tom than I do. Mm-hmm. The biggest problem with these is that it's what you call circular logic. St. Thomas says motion exists, so that's the proof of God. It's like the existence of motion is used. I also want to add, just for the sake of argument, I've yet to see proof of perfection or intelligence on Earth. So those 2 don't even count.
Okay. All right. Well, since Dave is the expert, Dave, why don't you let us know what you feel about St. Thomas's 5 proofs?
Oh, yes. The 5 proofs are proofs of a question, that a question can be reasonably asked. The first proof, motion, is actually motus is Latin, change. What Aquinas is trying to prove is that the following question is reasonable. Why is there any change at all? Why does change exist? Mm-hmm. And Aquinas does not think we can answer that question. He only thinks that if you believe that's a reasonable question, then Aquinas is actually willing to call you theist. So that's what I'll say about that.
All right, perfect. I'm actually going to go to our second slide because I have these broken down individually for us to kind of take a slice of the pie at a time. So the first slide is comicological. Everything has a cause. So, Joey, what do you think caused the universe?
Okay, I'm on, right? Oh, yeah, there I am. I'm smaller than I thought I'd be. What caused, again, God said, let there be light, and there was light. He caused it.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah. The 5 fingerprints, one of the 5 fingerprints is cosmological. Everything has a cause. And if everything has a cause, that means somebody must have caused it. and that automatically points to the existence of a higher power.
Yeah, I do problem solving classes for engineers, and there is always a cause.
Yeah.
And so I know that just from just being a human.
All I know
And
is if the universe was messed up and all crazy, people would blame black people for it for some reason.
Mhm.
So we would be the cause.
no. Probably comedians, but I don't know about that.
How about you, Jason? How do you feel about first cause? Do we have a universe that is super complicated? Something must have caused it, and that something has to have been God if we don't know what it was.
Well, if there was a cause, then what caused the cause, right? And that's where my brain initially goes with this. You get into that again, the circular argument thing. That, man, I can't believe I'm actually using some of this. But when you use the Bible to prove the Bible, you know, it's kind of a turtles all the way down moment is where I'm getting at here.
Okay, all right, I like that. And how about you, Bill? Where do you fall on the whole issue of first cause, Big Bang, Little Bang?
Still kind of in shock from you doing whiteface earlier, but honestly, it's just like it's so mind blowing. Like, who can even comprehend? We're too simple of species to even grasp it. If there is a God or if there is not, so
Right,
that's where I'm at.
right. The universe, we're finding out from different scientifical developments, such as the stuff that James Webb is giving us. We're literally finding out that the universe is actually probably much larger than what we even thought it was. And we're also finding out in a humbling way that we are probably not going to see any more than 97, where there's 97% of the knowable universe that we'll never be able to visit just because of how big it is. With that being said, it's absolutely mind-boggling how large the universe is, and it's tough to even comprehend. So what do you guys think the universe? Are you guys Big Bang theorists, or what do you guys feel about the cause?
If I could say, I mean, Aquinas believed, and I have my Aquinas shirt on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Aquinas believed God could create a universe that has always existed. Aquinas believed that's perfectly possible. That God, even if the universe has always existed forever and ever, God must have created it.
Okay, I like that. And then go ahead.
Yeah, I also think that, as an engineer, typically engineers are skeptical because we're scientists about these kinds of things. We're probably more atheists than not. But I always think it this way. If you had like 2,000 pieces of a car in your pocket and you walked around for several million years, according to Darwin, you would suddenly pull out a car out of your pocket. Really? I don't think so. You still have a pocket full of car parts.
Yeah, and there you go. You're leading right into our next slide here, the teleological argument for the existence of God or divine design. Where do you fall on divine design, Jerry?
Yeah, it's sort of a optical illusion. So there's no evidence that anything has been designed, and humans design things, and so they look at the universe and say, "Oh, humans design things. That thing over there looks designed, so something must have designed it." It's really projecting our own weak psyche. There's a beach in New Zealand that has large round boulders that people used to think came from alien cannons. No, sometimes boulders are just round. So just because something appears designed is not itself proof of design, such as these slides of yours look designed, but I don't really know how well designed they are.
Well, divine design, and I'm sure you as a philosopher knows this. This spiral exists in creation. It's known as, anybody want to take this one?
Fibonacci sequence.
The Fibonacci sequence, right? This exists in all creation, even us. Our fingerprints, the swirl on our head. We have Fibonacci sequences all over our body. It's literally almost like a little whisper from God. Hey, here's how I'm doing this. You see it in flowers, even in the formations of universes. So what do you guys feel about Fibonacci sequences? Is that any sort of an existence of a divine design, or is that, like Jerry says, just something that we're projecting our consciousness onto?
I think you're beating yourself up with these words that you have to pronounce throughout the
I know,
entire
right?
podcast, Rob.
I know, right?
I would have
I
gone
got
a
it
whole
written
other
down
route.
phonetically.
Yeah. Yeah. These are not the funniest memes I've ever seen, Rob. I have to tell you.
Well, the God spoke into existence everything except one thing. He spoke. He did not make. He made man like he was taking dirt and molding with his own hand, providing this touch and these details that we're talking about. It wasn't an amoeba that happened to just slosh on the shore that eventually grew into this and that and the other. It was an intelligent, loving God.
Wow.
Sounds gay.
Are anybody convinced? How about
No,
you,
but
Bill?
I'll
What do you
pay you $10 if you agree. Okay.
Yeah.
no, but I stand by your PowerPoint skills. Pretty solid here.
I know, right?
One
Right.
vote for Rob.
I have the PowerPoint skills of a 10-year-old. I swear to God. But I find it interesting that this sequence exists across like most of nature, and it's mathematically, sort of just the diagram of growth and creation, and I just feel like, me personally, I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of a proof. So, somebody put in here, what about all the design flaws in the human body? Do you guys feel like anybody has design flaws in the human body?
Do
Like,
we,
what the hell does the pancreas
yeah. Do we have to keep our pants on to answer this question?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I was like, man,
I am a
it's definitely
design flaw in the
profession.
human body.
In fact, I do have something in my pants that curves to the left, just like your diagram here. So there's another example of the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, let me ask John. Are you referring, the person that asked the question is John Hensler? John, are you referring to like birth defects, or are you referring to like a perfectly normal human having like some sort of a defect? I like better eyes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, why couldn't we get like hawk eyes and dog
Mhm.
hearing, Wolverine claws?
So I do want to say one thing, but I know you have a bunch of slides, so I'm trying to not be a teacher and talk all the darn time.
Mhm.
I do want to say that Darwin does not say that things happen randomly. So that's like an incorrect characterization of evolution, even if people don't have to believe in evolution, but things do not happen randomly. They happen incrementally under environmental pressures. So it's not random.
Oh, okay.
And also triangles and circles occur in nature. I mean, my elbow is like a angle. So just because some sequence happens to appear in some parts of your body doesn't mean that someone did it. I mean, humans discovered the Fibonacci sequence. And so we just discovered it and then we find it. Again, it's sort of circular to me. It doesn't prove much.
Okay. All right.
Sounds more like a coffee beverage too. To be
Yes, yes. I would like a
I'll have one
grande size
Fibonacci.
Fibonacci. Yes.
Now this one is kind of interesting. The
Mhm.
concept, this is ornithological or whatever, like I said, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. Please correct me in the chat if I'm pronouncing these wrong. The concept of God implies existence. So the concept of God is that we have an all-knowing, all-seeing, perfect being that created the universe, right? Because we feel like that, I guess the argument is it has to exist because we feel like it could exist. What do you guys feel like? Am I explaining that correct, Dave? You're the philosophy professor.
No, you're not. But the ontological argument is interesting, if only because it's never convinced anyone. No atheist has ever been convinced by it, and yet no one has ever figured out why it's wrong. The idea behind the ontological argument is simply this. Consider the idea of perfection, whatever that means to you. Isn't it better to exist than not? Well, if so, then perfection itself must exist. But that argument has never convinced any atheist.
Interesting. Interesting.
Well, guys, like
Have you
you
seen
guys
J
like
Lo bad?
you like the Narnia series? Any of
Uh-huh.
you? Any of you? C.S. Lewis was an atheist.
It-
He went out to disprove God, and guess what? He became a Christian. He realized it was true.
But
And how
not
about
on
the
but
guy
not on
who?
the basis of the ontological argument.
But
Mm,
he,
okay.
but based on his understanding of Scripture, also the guy who started what Campus Crusade, same thing.
Mhm.
He was an ardent atheist, wanted to disprove, and found out he was convinced that God does exist.
I don't know. I think this is
Mm.
actually a pretty cool one because it's basically saying, I think there's a God, so it must be, a God. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like I think, therefore I am kind of thing. Like
Mhm.
if, we tell people all the time, your self-perception is, going to help you manifest, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's true for a lot of people. If I feel like I'm going to do good in sports, sometimes I do good in sports. So if I feel like there could be a God, there probably is a God. I don't know. I kind of actually like this one a little bit, even though, like you said, it's not very convincing.
I'm still having a ontological shock from you doing whiteface earlier.
I thought I was white face, so therefore I was white face.
I love the black arms creeping out below it, though. That is what really threw me.
Right, exactly.
God is all things, including Rob's arms.
All right, just a couple of more of the 5 fingerprints. We have the moral argument, the existence of morality. We know what's good and bad, just kind of naturally. What do you guys feel about this? Like, if you do something bad, you just kind of know it's bad. So the existence of morality kind of proves that there's an ultimate good that we all are kind of plugged into. What do you guys feel about that?
It seems to be cultural programming, right? I come from the absurdist school a little bit, so I do believe that all morality is essentially flattened, personally. As far as that goes, it is a lot of cultural programming and just what makes you feel good in the end.
Okay. All right. So you wouldn't kick a baby down some stairs?
Hey,
No, that would make me feel terrible.
No, only if it would make the volcano god happy, then I might.
And if there was one screaming in the background like Joey's dog, then maybe I would. But that baby's not causing no problems right now.
Definitely depends on the baby.
Absolutely.
We've all been on an airplane.
All right. Say, wouldn't morality be evolutionarily beneficial?
Mhm.
We do see some variant of morals in most social species. Yeah, I guess that's true. But I think there's a core morality, and we're going to get a little bit deeper into this because even across religions, there's kind of like a core of what it means to be good and moral. You know what I mean? So let's hit a couple of more of these. Consciousness cannot be explained by natural causes. I always thought that was kind of cool that doctors, even though they know just about everything about our DNA sequences and everything, there's truly no medical explanation for consciousness. We know your brain works, we know your body pumps blood, we know all of that, but there's truly no way to explain why you are who you are, What do you guys think about consciousness being some sort of proof that we have a bridge to know the divine?
well, I think our conscious is what tells us, hey, I did something bad, and God is speaking to our conscious, helping us to understand, hey, we can do better than that with His help.
Mm-hmm. No, it's even deeper than that. It's overall awareness. You are alive, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, consciousness literally is your invisible programming, like
Right.
I wake up every morning and I know my mother's name and I know my kids' names and I know all of that stuff. And people say, oh, it's because of the synapses and the way all your memories are stored in your brain and everything. And it's like, how do we explain that though? It's just energy and nodes and blood and bone and everything, but it still makes up consciousness and nobody can really explain it.
Well, nobody can really explain, and someone here, if they have a better answer, I know, please disagree with me, why we laugh either. There's no direct medical explanation for laughter. Even if you think it releases endorphins or causes relaxation, the fact that evolution would create laughter as a survival mechanism has no philosophical justification.
Oh wow! So
And
no wonder you're such a
me-
great comedian.
But
or
they tell us that laughter creates endorphins and things like
yeah,
that are good for us.
yeah, but that's like an emergent quality. It doesn't explain why we have laughter. So consciousness is an emergent quality. I mean, it has emerged like flowers bloom in the spring, but we'd have no point of reference. We would need like 10 aliens from 10 other planets and study their consciousness to find out how they're similar and different. It's just like, it's all we got. So, hey, I guess that makes me God because my consciousness is where God talks. So, woo. So it's really self-serving to call your consciousness your God conduit.
Ah,
It's kind of like saying, okay, prove to me that there's the wind. Can you prove to me can you ever seen the wind?
no, well, no,
Can you prove it?
you can prove the win. I'm talking about consciousness, though.
Well,
I'm
how
talking
can you
about
prove the wind?
literally, you
Yeah.
know, what
How do you
makes
prove the
you,
wind?
you know,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised nobody has said it, but soul, you know,
Wow.
do you guys relate your consciousness to your soul? How about
Yeah.
No.
yeah,
Soul.
even John said on online that you can measure the wind,
Yeah.
but you can't measure
Yeah.
soul, or can
But-
you? Have you guys ever heard of auras?
We getting some magical thinking on this now.
Yeah, I like the
Rob's going to try to
I
bang us.
live
two
in
more
Los
slides.
Angeles.
yeah. What which of these
Next up,
poses do we have to do
astrology
next?
and gemstones.
No,
Hey.
Auras,
Kama Sutra.
what do you say, Bill? I heard
Yeah.
you say a little something here.
This thing you're about to bang us in 2 slides is the Kama Sutra coming up.
Yeah, that one chakra is right there.
Everybody got this
It's the-
false small mind. They always
It's the
focus
Coochie chakra.
on number 7, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like, nah, what about number 1 and 2 and all of these other chakras, you know?
No, only number 7 matters. I used to and there's a lot of educated people here. I bet others have as well. I used to work at a bookstore when I was younger, and I loved to stock books in the New Age section.
Mhm.
Because the New Age section, like one shelf is chakras, and one shelf is crystals, and one shelf is vampires, and one shelf is tarot. And I used to wonder if people shopping for tarot books would be like side eye, and the other person going, "Chakras, you believe that bullshit?" Like, what would the whole aisle of the bookshelf of the bookstore is like that? But you know, you have to believe all of it to shop in that aisle.
Right. Well, what I'm going to say is this. The 5 fingerprints of God is something that like really struck me when I was in college, right?
Mhm.
And I first learned about it.
Mhm.
And I know there were some opposite arguments and stuff like that, but I always thought to myself, they weren't powerful enough, right? So I have developed my own 5 fingerprints, and I would like to debate with you guys. My 5 fingerprints, the new 5 fingerprints of the existence of God. If you'll just give me a little bit of rope here.
Saint
So
Rob.
yeah. So first fingerprint, acknowledgement in pain. Have you ever slammed your finger in a car door?
Yes.
What's the first words out of your mouth? God damn it!
A choice
Holy
string of
Dionysus.
expletives.
Open the door.
Yeah.
I feel like we acknowledge God in our pain, right? Like, I don't know, Jason. You say you are on the atheist side of things. What do you call out when you slam your finger in a car door?
It's just a simple OF word. There's no deity involved with me getting my heads jammed in the car. Yeah. Although I do like the O Dionysus. Let's stick with our god of wine and revelry. That's a good time.
Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah, let's call out to that guy when we.
Mhm.
You have any thoughts on it, Dave? Like, you know, you're certainly acknowledging the existence of God when you feeling like great pain, right?
I say to God, thank you for making me get out of the pain.
There's not one time ever in known recorded history a Japanese person who slammed their finger in a car door and yelled out, "Oh God!"
They probably said something similar in their language, though. Well, how
No,
about this?
they say "Shinjia de nai."
Acknowledge and gaining
Okashine.
fortune.
Too many syllables.
Itai, itai.
Yeah, I know, right? You got to say the whole sentence. Oh
Yeah.
shit, like is best for me. So acknowledgement and gaining fortune. Like if you ever have watched a lottery or something and you had a ticket in your hand, and let's say it's 5 numbers and you got 4, what do you start saying when that 5th number is coming? You're like, oh God, please, oh please, please, right? Like, don't you kind of hope that some sort of energy force is gonna give you fortune and getting that last winning lottery number?
I'm from Cleveland. I never get the money.
No. Now, in Cleveland, we acknowledge for losing fortune.
There
That's
you go. But I'm just saying though, that anticipation of something good happening, you hope for, the universe to kind of bend to your favor whenever you are anticipating a fortune, right? Like it could be anything. It could be, you bought a 50-50 raffle ticket, at a baby shower or something like that, right? You know what I mean? Isn't there some sort of an acknowledgement of a higher power when you're hoping that you're going to win?
You have that. I have that impulse, but I can also stack the rationality on top of that and say, it's bullshit, And I also don't play the lottery because it's voluntary taxes, but it's each their own.
yeah, it's like
So
And
your
then-
conscience talking to you.
Yeah.
well,
there you go.
yeah. I mean, gambling is the devil's tool, which is the only reason I do it.
And it's not just gambling. Anything that you're hoping for a good outcome. You may hope that the Browns is going to get a touchdown, even though they probably were not.
Satan will definitely be involved in any outcome of a Browns game, good or bad.
Yeah. You may have on a new outfit and hope it don't rain. Are you acknowledging the existence of a higher power by wishing and hoping that, something good is going to happen, right? So my third fingerprint, acknowledgement and avoiding misfortune. You ever been walking and almost slid on some ice and didn't quite fall? And he was like, oh, thank God I didn't fall. Like, has anybody ever been in that situation?
No. I
Yes.
No,
Yes.
yes. And when I fall, I immediately blame God. Why did you invent ice and do this to me, God? As a minister in the universal life choice, I reject you and your ice.
You ever be driving and miss a big pothole, or you know what I'm saying? Like something fell out of a window and it just missed you or something like that. Like, don't you kind of in the back of your mind go, oh, thank God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't tell
What
me
do
you
people-
haven't.
What do the people say that got hit by that shit though?
Yes.
No, we're talking about just one side of it right now. And avoidance of misfortune. Don't mess my fingerprints up. These are Rob Coleman
Yeah.
fingerprints.
Yeah, of
guy.
course. You're right, Rob. You're right. Of course.
you-
You say, thank
Yeah.
you, God.
That's-
Thank you
yeah.
for
Like right.
watching
Even
out for me.
right. Even an
Yeah.
atheist person. What do you think, Bill? If you where you at? Hold on.
I say thank you to the randomness of the universe.
Yes.
Say that out loud.
The
Get him,
randomness
Bill.
of the
It's
universe.
kind of catchy. It's like
So
okay.
you're waiting for a call from a booker, and the comedian in front of you is way better, but for whatever reason he gets killed, and you get a call to do the job. Aren't you like, oh man, I feel bad for him, but thank God.
yeah. I mean, not God, but yeah. Thank the booker.
Yes. Yeah, now we know
Whoever the killer was.
how Rob has been advancing his comedy career.
But yeah, avoidance of misfortune, acknowledgement and beauty. You ever been somewhere, Grand Canyon or the what is that called? The blossoms, that in Japan or whatever, those cherry blossoms.
Cherry blossom.
Yeah, or seen like a great autumn day and you just appreciate the beauty of it. Like an appreciation of beauty, do you feel like there's any sort of acknowledgement of a higher power there or an appreciation that you as a human being have for something that's beautiful?
Yeah, our aesthetic appreciation is taught to us culturally through art. So our appreciation of beauty, we should thank Shakespeare for teaching us about the human spirit, and Monet for showing us how beautiful water lilies are, and Rob Coleman for having such darn funny jokes. Artists teach us beauty.
Yeah, hey, I want to sell this. I feel like I could sell this my new fingerprints of God. I'm gonna write a book. So you guys are helping me test my theory.
Shakespeare, Monet, and Rob Coleman. That's the
yeah. Top 3 names you need to know in modern day philosophy. Oh, and Kanye for some reason. I don't know.
Now you're in trouble.
Well, are any of you guys here parents? Any of you guys parents?
Sure.
Yep.
All right. And you can't tell me the day your kid was born, you wasn't like, oh, that is the most beautiful baby ever. That's my kid, man. Is there any sort of an acknowledgement and thanking God, when that kid was born?
Pre-modern medicine, 1/3 of all deaths was teenage women in childbirth and babies under the age of 2. So when my children were born, I thanked the doctor and modern medicine.
You hardcore, Jerry.
I am. Did anybody else raise their hand, or am I the only parent on this panel?
No.
Well, I remember the sky being as blue could be. There was not a cloud in the sky. I remember feeling like I was walking 7 feet off the ground for a whole week. And seeing a baby, an actual human being born, is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. And you can't, evolution, come on.
Yeah.
Evolution, woo woo. But my first 2 children were born in Japan, and our doctor was old school and wouldn't let the father in the delivery room. So I didn't see my children get born, but he made me sit in the hallway outside with speakers and listen to it. And if you only hear it, it's not as beautiful as you think it is. It's like The Exorcist. It's nothing but horrible noises for several hours.
When I was 12 years old, I saw my cousin get born. I was in the birthing room for my cousin when I was 12 years old, and I think that turned me gay. So do not want any part of this.
You have a very weird family.
I'm Hungarian Catholic, but my family lost their faith the day I was born. I was so ugly.
Well, you're so beautiful now. You proved them all wrong.
Here's my last fingerprint, and I believe none of you guys can deny this. Acknowledgement and pleasure. Who do you call out during the big O? I mean, come on now.
Taylor Swift.
I say my own name because no one else will.
I mean, yeah, if we're going solo.
Say your own name.
No one else will say it. Come on.
Solo.
That's because you don't care about God. He's like keeping women from you.
What were you saying, Bill? I thought I heard you.
I mean, do you really want God in the room while you're doing that? I mean, well, if you're going solo, you can call it your own name. That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I have done a lot of research on this, and in most of these movies, these women are like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And the guy's like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And the last person, like you said, you want to be in a room is actually God. So
I have enough trouble with all the ghosts that watch me masturbate. I want to bring in God too. I mean, come on.
Naughty.
I have never one time watched a Japanese porno, but I hear that the actresses and performers don't yell that out in their movies. But I don't know for sure.
All right, well, let's get it. What do you guys think of my 5 fingerprints? Can I sell this to anybody? You think anybody would buy this? My 5
There's
fingerprints?
a lot of idiots out there. Yeah,
someone will buy it.
Oh, you should turn this into like a 4 books, 5 books.
Yeah, buy this book.
Put them up next
to
put them next to the Chalkers book at Jerry's old bookstore.
There you go. And by the way, just to shout you guys out real quick, several of you guys are authors, right? Like who I think Dave, you have your book with you. Let's give you a little moment here to shout your book out real quick before we switch gears.
Oh yes, I don't have an advertisement with me. You can look me up on Amazon, Dr. David Kovacs. I wrote a book called Does God Exist? a Catholic position. It was part of a series I was hoping to start, and maybe I will start again someday. But yes, feel free to email me for anything you want to give me money for.
And how about you, Jerry? I think you got your book with you too, don't you?
Yes, I wrote a book about religious satire in the era of new atheism after September 11th. 3 big hits in one book. And I just have one request. Would all you book burners buy like 10,000 copies of this book and burn it? I still got a lot of student loans I'm trying to pay off.
And was there any other authors? I think there was one other guy that wrote a book.
That'd be me.
All right, shout yours out. You got it, Joey. Go ahead and just. I think you may have muted yourself, buddy. I think you may have muted yourself.
That was the best pitch we've heard so far.
I know, right? He's like,
God didn't want us to hear this pitch.
I want to reflect to people. I want to reflect to people like yourselves how to draw a closer relationship with God, which affects all of your relationships eventually.
and
He's at the top of the pyramid.
And thanks, John. John put in the chat here, I believe Rob is God. Well, hey, maybe the God of eating banana pudding or something like that. But I don't profess to be no kind of God. But
Well, I'll give you, since you're God, I'll give you like a percentage of what I'll
you don't want me to be God.
Yeah, tithing. God always takes his cut.
All right, so let's get into some philosophical stuff that should be a little fun here. What do you think God looks like, guys?
Jerry Coleman.
Yeah.
I mean, we see a lot of verses in the Bible where they talk about sit on the throne, like philosophically, and even the atheist guys. If you had to kind of stretch your imagination, what would you feel like God looked like?
I don't know if when I was a Christian for many years, when I thought about being a pastor, I didn't have like a visual representation of God. It felt wrong to put limits on that being when I was in the faith system.
Okay.
Yeah, all the stained glass that you see in medieval churches is because no one besides the priest spoke Latin. So they wanted to help the peasants follow along with their homilies and messages. And that's also where we know what the devil looks like. There's no description of the devil in the Old Testament, but he's in all the stained glass and in all the plays. He was a popular villain. So whatever you think the devil looks like, you can think theater artists from 1,500 years ago.
Well, here's some modern day depictions of God.
Yeah.
That I thought you guys might get a kick out of. You know, they love to describe God as like some kind of guy on a throne or something like that. But I really believe, like you guys said, that even if you stretch your imagination, if we're talking about a divine being that we could never understand, we would never be able to put his the way he looked into words, or never be able to draw it, right? I mean,
well, you know, Yahweh, Elohim, the great Bambino, you know, all the names.
Right. And what's our next slide here? Where is God? Where do you think God is?
In my pants. No.
Much like Dave, not here, man.
Naughty.
Not here, man.
Mr. Green is watching you.
I want to show you guys.
The correct answer right now is the immigrants.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it's like we're playing a big game of Where's Waldo sometimes when we talk about where God is. But I want to show you guys a video here real quick, if I can get my system to show it, because I thought this was really interesting. It's more astrological as far as like what the lady is talking about, but it kind of relates to our what we're talking about. So let me see if I can pull this up here for you guys. We're gonna go here and present this.
The structure of our universe and of our brains is so similar, it's startling. This is a simulation of how matter in the universe arranges itself. And this is what the neural network in the brain looks like. About 30% of the universe is matter, both dark and ordinary, and the other about 70% is dark energy, which is largely a mystery. And similarly, the human brain is about 70% water and 30% brain cells. Where it gets crazy is that matter in the universe and brain cells both arrange themselves in long connected filaments. These filaments form the neural network in the brain and the cosmic web in space. And scientists found that the density distribution and structure of matter in the universe and brain cells in the cerebellum is very similar. As you can imagine, the scale between these two things are opposite, but it's possible that the structure and connectivity between these two networks follow similar physical principles. But it's also possible that we as humans are simply trying to draw connections to try to make sense of two of the most difficult things for us to study. Because when you get into the nitty-gritty, the brain doesn't look like this at all areas and at all magnifications, and the universe doesn't look like this when we look out at the sky. But just by looking at these images, it does seem like the structure of our universe and of
When did Alanis Morissette start doing astrology TikTok?
I bring that up, especially when we talk about the existence of God, and that we might actually have a mental, we may have actually have some sort of a mental, God may live in our, I don't know how to explain this. Basically, the universe is set up like a mind or like a brain, like as you just heard her say. And maybe where we're living right now, we're actually living in the mind of God. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we are a particle in a divine being's brain cells. And because we have a similar brain, we're able to relate to this massive universe brain. And I don't know, I feel like I'm talking myself into a corner here.
A little bit.
But you know, I just think there's I think there's something fascinating about the actual universe being set up similarly in its connections like a human brain. What do you guys think?
Everything's kind of fractal, right? So that makes sense where it's the same as above as below. That being said, I have trouble taking any type of theories from a Zillow ad or somebody named Astro Alexandra with 2 L's. She lost me.
I used to date her.
She actually has some very interesting videos. If you guys follow her, she's a space head where anything about space, she's constantly posting about it. I love it. So,
Rob, I'm here for
I
the
take
children,
mushrooms
and
too.
for the love of Dionysus, any children watching this video, do not start watching that woman's streams or TikTok.
all right. Well, for you atheists out there, and I've always been curious about this with atheists, where do you feel like we go when we die? What happens to us when we die, to the atheists out there? Who wants to go first?
Akron.
Oh,
Damn it.
Akron's even worse.
Yeah, because Bill's already there. I thought he might be a ghost.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate question, right?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about it? Like, where do you go when you die, Bill?
Not really, man. Just trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know. Honestly, when I was younger, I was touched by an angel. He was our landscaper, and ever since, that's kind of when I lost faith.
I mean, I don't mean to make fun of your trauma if that really happened, but
no.
Man, he was rich enough to have a landscaper. Come on.
How about you, Jason? Have you ever thought about where you go when you kick the bucket, buddy?
I have some different thoughts. It would be cool to think that we all return to some pool of consciousness. I think that's kind of beautiful. The lights might just go out when the party's over, but I also been thinking more and more about simulation theory, that whenever the lights go out, whoever you are, take off a headset, and then you just realize you've been on a ride within the span of like 30 seconds and you hop on.
Oh, yo,
yeah, exactly. Brain in the vat type stuff.
Right. I love it. And Joey, I know you got a good point of view on this because you are actually into church and everything. Where do you believe people go when we die?
Well, if you're a believer, you go to heaven. And if you're not, you've rejected God, his gift of salvation to cover your sins, then you've chosen to go the other place of eternal punishment.
What's
Sorry,
your
I
thoughts
didn't
on
write that.
purgatory?
I just read it. And plus, if the atheists are right, great. I guess I'll just have lived a great, wonderful, peaceful life. But if they're wrong, then what happens?
Yeah. And
So,
in
which do you want to gamble? How do you want to gamble?
in comedy, where you go when you die is back to doing open mics at bowling alleys.
You go to the black room, not the green room.
John Hensler once
The
again
bathroom.
put in our chat that according to the old 19 or 97s, hearts that aren't true don't go to heaven, they go to Champaign, Illinois. All right. All right, that's warranted. You as a philosophy major, Dave, I mean, where do you feel like we go when we pass away or kick the bucket?
The only sense I can make of the afterlife is bodily resurrection, physical resurrection. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to this body being back. It's not very good.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Christian religion, there is a promise of a physical resurrection. So my feeling about the afterlife is that our only hope is not ghosts, not disembodied spirits, but us as God created us in the physical flesh.
Amen. Amen, brother. Preach.
Nobody's on reincarnation. Nobody wants to come back as a butterfly or a mountain lion.
So
the only way I'm coming back is when God wants me to be victorious.
All right, well, let's get into the real nitty gritty of why a lot of people are atheists. The existence of evil, right? A lot of people, when I listen to atheists, I've done some research, like preparing for this, and a lot of people have this theory that because there's evil and God allows there to be evil, then God can't exist, because a perfect God that's all good wouldn't allow evil to exist. And I admit, there are things out here that are pure evil, like this stuff here. This is pure evil right here. Who would put peanut butter and jelly in the same jar? This to me proves that while God is all good, there is an ultimate evil out there. So, but I will bring up this theory from a known philosopher. Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. He is able but not willing. Then he is malevolent. He is both able and willing. Then hence cometh evil. He is neither able nor willing. Then why call him God? So I've heard this argument broken down a lot. So how, Joey, do you explain the existence of evil if we live under an all perfect, all knowing God?
Well, it's because of sin that man caused. God gave him a simple rule: just don't eat from that tree. Don't eat from that tree. One rule. And guess what? They ate from the tree. And from that point forward, we have a sin nature. We can't help but sin.
How about you, Jason? Can you help but sin? Well, how do you feel about the existence of evil? Do you feel like most atheists, that there can't be a God because there's too much evil out here?
Yeah, this harkens back to when Joey was talking about the atheists who sought to disprove God but wound up proving God. I think back to the Russian philosopher Dostoevsky, who wrote The Brothers Karamazov, and he explicitly brought up the problem of evil in Ivan's story within that novel. And that's probably one of the most convincing aspects of it to me, that these horrible things that happen to children, it's terrible, along with the combination of peanut butter and grape jelly. It's, it's
horrible.
It's terrible, just terrible.
Do you have any feelings on this, Bill? I would love to hear what you have to think about it.
Yeah, honestly, like it reminded me of the Tesla quote where he said, "You may live to see horrors beyond your comprehension," which was the peanut butter and jelly. But yeah, you think of the evils in the world, like there's Epstein's Island. Like I've never been there, like not since I was a kid, but you think of that stuff going on. It's just, there has to be evil out there. It's real.
Mm-hmm. And I know, Jerry, you are chomping at the bit here. What do you think, bud?
Well, I think that you often, I don't want to put words in people's mouth, find Christians and religious people worried about evil because they have to reconcile their belief system with the presence of evil. Many atheists, or certainly myself, there's no promise that God or any of the 10,000 gods currently worshipped somewhere on this earth today are good or evil. Being evil is not proof that there is no God. Now, if the Christian God is supposed to be good, it's fairly well a cop-out to say that, well, he gave us free will and we did it to ourselves. He is responsible for everything that happens. And one last fun fact, he gave us 2 rules because there were 2 trees in the Garden of Eden whose fruit we were supposed to not eat. One was the knowledge of good and evil, and the other was eternal life. And it was believed back in those days that eternal life and knowledge of good and evil is what made God powerful. And he was jealously guarding those superpowers. And that's why he didn't want us to eat from either of those trees. So there were 2 trees and there were 2 rules. Don't eat from either of these trees. Sounds like a setup to me.
You're misquoting the Bible. He didn't say to. He said you can eat that one all you want. That way you can live forever. That's why he took it. He put the flashing sword to the entrance to keep them from getting to that tree, right?
I don't know, Joey. That's sounding a little Game of Thrones-ish. Is that?
Yeah, it's
Game
probably
of
in the
Thrones
first chapter.
definitely a much. Oh yeah.
First chapter or 2, first few pages.
Okay, all right. We're gonna go back and check that out. What do you think, Dave? What do you think about the existence of evil disproving a higher power?
I believe that objection often comes from people who want to make an idol of God.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, it comes from people who want to say, why doesn't God act like me? But that assumes God is a person, and I don't believe God is a person.
I love that. Now, you guys kind of set me up like perfectly here, because I feel like whenever we're arguing the existence of God or anything like that, we're only talking about Christianity. There are so many other religions. These are just some of the symbols of the major religions of the world. But I feel like whenever we're talking about whether or not we want to prove the existence of God, everybody jumps on, oh, well, in Genesis it said, but nobody knows any. I mean, look at how many symbols we got over here. Does anybody know any of these other religious Bibles? Like, why aren't we attacking, some of these other Bibles as far as what they say the creation stories is? Everybody kind of, dog piles on Christianity.
I think the key point behind all of those is that every religion in some shape or form has this concept of sin. They may not call it sin, but there is a sin that people commit. And all of these religions, you have to work your way to pay for your sins. You got to, do lots of work. It's work-based salvation. Yeah. Only the God of the Bible says, you know what, you sin, but I'm going to send a substitute to cover for you. His name is Jesus. It's the only religion that has the same problem, sin, but the solution is completely different.
Oh, okay. That was well explained, Joey. I never really, and when I was thinking about this, I was like, why don't we dogpile these other religions? I've never heard anybody say, well, I don't believe in God because Taoism says, it's always, they always dogpiling Christianity,
Well, I will if you want me to. That's a request from the audience there, but we don't need to do that. What's more interesting is statistics. There's at least 10,000 religions on Earth today. And in the 50-some thousand years of modern humanity, my tongue just God's stopping me from speaking all of a sudden.
No, you sound like me trying to say big words.
Anthropologists guesstimate that there's been over 1 million religions. And the reason we dogpile on Christianity is because we live in a Judeo-Christian society where the majority of people are Christians. And some of those Christians, not our good friend Joey, I love Joey, but there are Christians out there that try to make us do what they want us to do. And so that becomes an immediate political problem in the country in which we live, whereas there are very few Taoists in America trying to make us put up Taoist doctrine in our schools or make us say Taoist prayers before government meetings.
Yeah.
So there's like two different problems. There's the theology of atheism, but there's the politics of the modern American Christian, some of whom want to enforce us as a Christian nation. So I'll tell you what I say, Rob, to all 10,000 of these religions, it's a free country. You do what you want. It's like smoking. Do it in your own home, and I don't want any of your secondhand religion blown in my face.
Right. And then
I thought that was going to be the opinionated one.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Rob a question.
Sure.
Rob knows me pretty well. How many times have you seen me get a guy in the corner and put my finger in his back and his chest going, "You need God, you need God"? How many times have you seen that?
Only like once or twice.
No, you're a liar, man.
No, I've never seen you do that. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Now, how
If
many
anything,
times
I've seen you do that to make them take a T-shirt.
Okay. How many times have you seen me do something nice for people?
Oh man, like endlessly. Yeah.
Why? You know why I do that?
Why is that?
Because God has given me inside the ability and the will and the desire to help people, not to put them in a corner and force them into anything. Because people can't force other people to go to God. We can only show how our lives are different.
Right.
Rob, we all just met, and I want to say I immediately am a Joey fan. I hope I've made that clear, Joey. You're a bundle of positive energy, and I love you.
You get a free T-shirt.
Yes. But Rob, you've known me a long time, and you've never seen me corner anyone and make them try to be an atheist. And you've seen me do many acts of kindness, including booking you. And you know why I do that? Because I'm a hell of a nice guy. I don't need a biblical lighthouse. I just like to, if we lift, we all go up. So I want all of us to succeed. I'm just a hell of a nice guy. That's all.
Because I need a daddy, not a sky daddy. You know?
There you go. I'm happy that you guys kind of broke it down that way, because I really wanted to go into the oldest world's religions, right? Because Hinduism is actually way older than Christianity and even Judaism. But we always pile on Judaism and Christianity whenever we are trying to disprove the existence of God. Well, Hinduism is such a fun religion. I mean, there's religions that are even older. Like we have cave drawings that date back 40,000 years or more from people who recognized there was a higher power at some point, right? And I think there's something to that as far as human nature wanting there to be a being that is in control of everything, you know? Some people, I've run across this term, animism, which is, I mean, you guys can see the definition there.
Worship nature.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. It's probably considered the oldest religion because it's not necessarily believing in necessarily a God as so much as there's a spirit or soul of the elements that we live in, that we interact with. You know what I mean? And I believe if there wasn't this push to make people obey rules and just recognize that there is an existence of a higher power, there may not be so many atheists, because I think most atheists probably believe there's some sort of higher existence, right?
So recent polling by Pew shows that some people who self-identify as atheists also say they believe in God. So I don't know what is going on Pew survey that you can tick both of those boxes. But
may I remind people that in the Middle Ages, belief in God only meant that you believed a certain kind of question was reasonable, namely the question of creation. Is the universe able to account for everything about itself, or does the universe raise fundamentally unanswerable questions? If you think my last point is correct, according to Aquinas, a Catholic philosopher, according to Moses Maimonides, a Jewish philosopher, according to Avicenna, Averroes, Al-Ghazali, all Islamic philosophers, that makes you theist. Theism is not about saying there's a big man in the sky. It's about saying the universe poses unanswerable questions.
Amen, brother. Preach.
Like that.
Preach, man. Preach.
How about you? Would it be easier, Jason, to not be an atheist if the rules were there's a higher power that just is in control of nature? You're not forced to obey any rules or go to any church. You don't have to baptize yourself. There's just a higher power out there. Would it be easier to not be an atheist if that was the rule?
Yeah, it would be comforting, but it would also be comforting to think that I'm a good comedian. We can tell ourselves anything we want. It's not based in reality. And to the point, self-burn feels good. But to the point of those unanswerable questions, I always go back to they just may not be answerable yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've answered a lot of questions since Thomas Aquinas, since those great minds.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of yet, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right. How about you, Bill? How would it be easier not to be an atheist if the rule was just there's a higher power out there and just be good to people?
I mean, it'd be easier. I mean, just, in general, religions are just too strict. They're too extreme, and they don't really practice what they preach. Like, think about like radical Islam. They call it radical, and there's not even one kickflip, like one ollie, not one cool like skateboard trick. And they're willing, like, some of these are willing to like kill themselves for the promise of 72 virgins. And I just think that's just bad negotiating. Like up front, you should at least get like 3-4 girls up front and then do the thing. But I don't know. It's just like, it's too much.
Right. Organized religion can be a little bit of a bugaboo because, okay, what do I wear? Where do I go? How do I worship? But I believe if we just get back, and this will never happen because there's too much control in religion. There's too much money to be made. You know what I mean? But if we could get back to just believing that there's a higher power, I believe that we could really just coexist with each other and be cool. Now, these next couple of slides are going to be fast forward because what's wrong with there being a God? I mean, we do have other beliefs that are nature centered, like Wicca, that doesn't necessarily believe in a God necessarily as so much as nature is the God. But what's wrong with having like some cool beings that's in the sky somewhere that we call gods? I mean, these are some Hindu gods, and they have the oldest and the coolest looking gods, you know, guys that are blue, green, multiple arms, elephant heads. I mean, how cool is this picture right here?
This is next season of RuPaul's Drag Race.
There you go. This is a cool guy right here. Yeah. Got his tongue out, got a severed head over there for some reason.
Is that Mario's head?
I don't know. It could be
Luigi's. Mario or Luigi.
I know, right? I just think you're not hurting anybody by having a pantheon. You know, you got Egyptian gods who are all cool. You know what I'm saying? Anubis and that. Dude, they got all these cool names and animal heads. And you got your Roman gods who are like cool as hell. You know what I'm saying? Norse gods and South American gods, African gods, right? And you even got American gods. I mean, what do we have here? We have guns, money, sports, cell phones, sex, and of course our orange Jesus that some people kind of worship as God. So what's wrong with their, I mean, can you explain to me, guys, what's wrong with their having some sort of a representation of what you believe in culturally that you kind of, you know, have a picture to hang on a wall or something to kind of put on a t-shirt?
If you're worshiping Donald Trump, you're wrong.
Yeah. Okay, we all agree on that. Now, you called me earlier hardcore, and I'm going to put that on a T-shirt. Rob Coleman said I'm hardcore. Here's the problem.
That's next time's episode.
I am. That's right. Now, I am a very mild-mannered atheist. I'm not argumentative. I never bother people in like my family or my friends. But I'm only interested in one thing, which is evidence. And if there's evidence for something like a gravity or germs or Donald Trump's crimes, then that's evidence-based conclusions and inquiries that we do. And the harm of propagating, spreading religious dogma is that if it's not evidence-based, I did say if it's not evidence-based, it's teaching people to accept things without evidence. And teaching people to accept things without evidence makes science and progress go backwards. That is the problem. Also, one other thing, it makes some people in our culture go to church on Sunday, and I'm not putting on pants for any god. In fact, I only worship gods where I have to take my pants off.
There are gods that allow that. Maybe you might have to think of your own religion.
Dionysus, baby, the god of wine, fertility, and theater.
Right. We are come to worship at the house of Winnie the Pooh, where we go bottomless. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Is there really any harm? And Joey, maybe especially to you, we talk about a lot of Christians want everybody to be Christian, but if you are a member of another religion that has similar beliefs, being good to people, be good to each other, who cares what the symbols are, the gods look like? Is that something that you would be all right with?
Yeah, I would. In fact, I would admonish any Christians that are on the line that, Jesus gave us a third commandment. He was asked, what's the two most important commandments? Love God and love your neighbor. Mm-hmm. And then before he was arrested, he gave him a third one, which was love each other. And, church people can tend to be some of the most critical, backbiting people on the face of this earth. So I admonish Christians to treat each other, not with being hypocrites, being critical, being nasty towards other Christians and other religions as well. We're about spreading love, not about spreading hate and debates, just debating for debate's sake.
I burnt down a Tesla yesterday.
There you go. I think there are people out there more judgmental than Christians that, have low morals and ethics, and they don't give you a fair shot. And that's the bookers. Listen, when I'm sending my billables out, I need you guys to really look at my EPK and let me, give me some feedback on why I'm not getting booked, and then send me. No, but and I guess
you're hanging out with people like us,
right? Exactly. We do have one problem. I mean, all the religions, simply have at its core rules about being good. And can they all be wrong? I mean, it's something good to be learned from just about any religion that you subscribe to. How to be a good person, how to treat your neighbors, how to exist in society and not hurt anybody. So whether or not you believe in a higher power or not, I do believe there's some validity in each religion that teaches us something about getting along with each other. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, one last thing I want to do to kind of put a nail in this, no pun intended, but we do have a Jesus problem, okay? And when I say the Jesus problem, this is one of the primary things that people attack Christianity on. Did he exist? Did he not exist? Did he really perform miracles? Is he really the Son of God? Is he not the Son of God? Did he rise in 3 days? I find that a lot of people focus on Jesus as to prove whether or not Christianity is authentic. And I think that problem is solvable. We have what we wish Jesus looked like, and what scientists and other people have actually imagined that he would have looked like, back in the day. So we have these two kind of theological positions on Jesus, what we would like him to look like and what he actually looked like. And this is the Jesus that we mostly see, like hanging up in churches or in our homes and things like that. I think we would get rid of the Jesus problem if we did this. I mean, combining Jesus Jesus's powers with the look of Thor, I think would like really solve the issue as far as people believing in Christianity and wanting to come to church. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, you should add some holes in his hands and feet, and I'm okay with that.
Well, this is Jesus that says, "I have the hammer this time." He took the hammer from the crucifiers, and now he's going to be hammering out a little justice himself.
If Jesus has an Australian accent, I'm out.
and I think we could also solve the Jesus problem with sexy Jesus. I mean, come on now. What ladies wouldn't want to go to church if you had Axe body spray Jesus?
That's called frankincense, dude.
Wow, is that Fabio?
If it's called frankincense, I want some myrrh of that.
Well,
That's gold, Jerry. That's gold.
during the Renaissance, all the great artists were Italian, and they just told them to make him look like a rock star.
Yeah,
He looks kind of like Jerry, actually. He's got that long hair and kind of rock star of the 70s look to him.
Yeah. This is what we hope.
Can you go back to the scientist version? Like a slide back, the scientist version.
The scientist version.
Yeah, the recreation of his historical face.
Yeah, I've seen something like that,
like,
and that's what Jewish people look like. He didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes or brown straight hair. He had, in fact, the Bible in Old Testament predicts that he would not be a person that people would be drawn to by his looks. In other words, he was ugly or plain at least.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like a 9/11 passport to me. I don't know.
It looks like he's having a, what do you call it, whatever, mugshot.
I feel like the last time I saw this guy, I was asking him what cooler the 40 ounces were in. In the back, my friend. But in all honesty, man, I mean, can we just coexist? I mean, no matter what you believe, I feel like whether or not there is a God kind of depends on your own personal perspective and relationship, right? I think as long as we're not trying to push our personal beliefs on people and make them, believe what we believe, I feel like we can all kind of coexist. And whether you believe there's a higher power or not, you know what I mean? There is some validity in religion saying, let's just treat each other better. You know what I mean? And what do you guys think? Do you think maybe there is some sort of God we can create amongst ourselves as far as just being good to each other and being good people?
AI.
Yeah.
Finally, it's everybody's individual choice.
Everybody's
POD.
And, I've made a choice of where I believe I'm finding God in my life, but I don't expect everybody else to have the same view.
Yeah.
If coexist means let's not throw bombs at each other, I'm on board. But if coexist means that my children have to learn in their school someone else's dogma, then coexist can go F itself.
Okay. All right. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's have everybody come in. I'm gonna pop everybody out, and I'm gonna bring you guys back in for just individual wrap up. Find out what you guys think. Where you guys are, and if this show helped change your belief at all. So I'm popping everybody out, and I'm gonna start with Bill. So Bill, popping you back in here. What do you feel? What do you feel like? Do you feel like you learned anything from this show? Did it change your opinion on anything? What do you feel?
Definitely not. I mean, I was a believer until a few years ago. We had a death in the family. It was our gerbil, Mr. Nibbles, died of COVID. It really shook my faith, which was weird. He was vaccinated, so I don't know. Go figure. So, just trying to cope with that. Looking to myself for that. I don't know. God hasn't been there for me, so I'm just, for the purposes of the show, I'm speaking as a godless person, which I feel terrible about all of a sudden. So,
are you married?
Yeah.
Did you get married in the church?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Okay. All right. So no justice at
So that's all out the window now.
Right. Bill, shout your socials out for everybody so people can follow you.
Oh, I don't really have anything going.
Oh, you don't have any socials? Any upcoming shows you want to talk about?
Nope. This is my office. I'm in a band called Grimestone. If you want to check out my band, but otherwise, just hanging out.
Okay. Let me pull you back in for final thoughts. Then, thank you for being on the show, Bill. Let me pull you back in for final thoughts, Jerry. Where are you at? Oh, I'm popping people in and out wrong. You would think I've been doing this a little while. I should be able to do it better. But how about you, Jerry? What do you think? Final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is that I mourn the death of coffee shops where people used to gather and have conversations like this instead of having to go onto live streams and have 10 conversations. So
you did well.
I wish we could all go to a coffee shop and have conversations like we did in college in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Or like they did in Paris in the 1890s, if you were white, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I mean, I think civil conversations is all that we can hope for, and there's very little of that in certain circles of American society right now. So I hope we've all been role models. And if one 8-year-old tells his parents this Sunday that they're not going to church, F you, then I've done my job.
Well, let me ask, did you married as well? Did you get married in a church?
I laugh, Rob, because I do a whole bit about how I got married, so I don't want to do the whole bit for. No, I didn't get out. I got married in Japan, and we had what we would call a city hall marriage. I didn't get out of bed when I got married. My wife woke me up and said, "Sign this," and I went back to sleep. And then she came back and said, "We're married now," and that's a true story. And I will say, I became a minister to officiate my friend's wedding. Both of us non-believers, because it's a requirement in every state that an officiant be a religious minister of some kind. And that's the kind of BS that I'm protesting. There's no reason for it to be that way. Who cares who's officiating these weddings? I'm not, I mean, so it's an exact example of what I mean when I say we're sort of non-believers or non-Christians are forced to participate sometimes in these sort of Christian society.
Why don't you shout your socials out for people?
Sure, I'm on Facebook. Look up my podcast, The Comical Heathen. It's on every podcast platform that you could find it on. It's available for free. There's a website, comicalheathen.com, and the show that my buddy Milton and I run out in Toth, called Toth in Mentor, Ohio. I'm going to be closing in May 21st. So I'm going to be doing a whole 45-minute set of atheist, comical heathenism.
Well, may God be with you with that.
Thank you, sir. And you.
All right. Let's pull in Jason. We're going to add you to the stage from some final thoughts. What do you think, buddy? Did you learn anything today? Are you a bigger believer now or no?
Still staunch atheist, and that's okay. Yeah. It was good conversation. This was enjoyable. I love Joey. It was great getting to meet all of you folks. This was an absolute blast, and I hope to do it again with you all in the future. But it was definitely enriching. And to Jerry's point about the coffee shop experience, that's what this felt like. It was pretty. It was pretty magical.
Absolutely. Shout your socials out for everybody.
Sure. I'm Jason Piper on Facebook. On Instagram, I'm at Jason Piper Comedy. A couple dates coming up. I just want to give a shout out. April 13th, Laugh Out Proud at the Toolbox Saloon. It's a show I'm producing. There's going to be drag queens there. Dan Seabury, a local comedian, is going to be headlining. It's going to be a great show, and it's free. And then April 26th, I'm on a show titled Feeding the Alligators, Love and Teeth, at the Upfront Performance Space here in Columbus, Ohio. And that's put together by the amazing Florida woman from Brazil, Kaylee Michelle. So those are some shows coming up.
Awesome. Hopefully we can get somebody to come out and support, buddy. Great job. How about you, Dave? Any final thoughts as you want to wrap up?
Some final thoughts. This has been wonderful again, Rob, to do this with you. I came to California from Cleveland in 2018. And the first thing that happened to me when I got my job here was some philosophy professors came up to me and said, "Why are you a philosophy professor? You should be doing comedy." Well, I don't think I'm as good. I don't think I'm nearly as good as you gentlemen are. But it's always so honorable to me, for me, to be here with you. I think Rob Coleman tonight especially is, if I can say it sincerely, I will say it sincerely, a holy man, bringing us together.
Can't go wrong if we're talking about it first, right?
He's brought us here together. We've had a great conversation. I've been so honored to be here. I have no social. I have nothing. I'm just honored to be here in the presence of all of you, and I look forward to one of these in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, buddy, for joining us. And then last but not least, Joey, my friend, my partner in comedy. What do you want to say to close us out? Give us a nice little inspirational thing based on your belief and let us know what we should be doing with our lives.
Okay. I hate you all. No. No, this has been great. I'm glad we could share ideas and have some fun. And it's, I hope to be on the Comical Heathen podcast sometime. I hope I'm welcome sometime to do that. And also, I know that Rob, let's see, sorry, I can't see the names. Hang on one second.
Oh, you need to see the names?
Yeah. Oh, okay, I'll go to Jason next. Jason, I remember when I saw you at the attic and you said hello to me and you shook my hand, you made me feel welcome. That was really really made my night. Not many people came up to me and welcomed me. And I know that on the surface, your lifestyle and my understanding of my lifestyle are conflicting, but brother, I love you and I thank you for doing those things for me.
Maybe we're all human. We're all human, man. We have the same desires and needs,
Yeah. So, that's the key word, love. To love each other. No, I'm not talking about that other kind of love that I think Jerry likes to talk about a lot, but anyway. But thank you guys. I really appreciate Rob you putting this together.
Yeah.
And just being a part of this. All of you are great. I hope to share the stage or share a podcast or whatever sometime. My social medias are joeyleecomedy.com. joeyleecomedy.com. And I'll see you soon. Absolutely. Oh, and I hope to be on here in a month from now.
All right. Well, I'm not an engineer, but I love building bridges. So I hope I build some bridges for you guys. And, if you didn't learn anything, maybe you learned that Rob Coleman is a pretty cool dude. So follow me on my social medias at Are You Funny Rob on just about everything. Look out for our show next month. I haven't thought of it yet, but I'm thinking about either doing Marvel versus DC or LeBron versus Jordan. You guys let me know which one I should do. And if you guys want to watch or tap in, reach out to me on my social media. Let me know that you would like to be on the show or have an idea for a show. So thank you guys again. We went about a half hour over, but I appreciate you guys hanging in there and sticking with us. Okay, guys?
Thanks, Rob.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rob.
We're going to go ahead and end the stream, but thank you guys all for tuning in. Watch for more shows in the future, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.